We live. Welcome to Power Inherent in the People. This is where we get down and get funky and real busy. Nah, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm listening to jazz right now. It's got me in that mode. Okay, welcome. My name's Cameron. This is Power Inherent in the People. So stoked to have y'all here with me. This is part 13. You know, it gets real hot and heavy when we get to learning about the deeper aspects. Welcome everybody for being here again. If you've gotten this far in the series, as far as part 13 is concerned, you can consider yourself somewhat a scholar in this. There's no doubt. Okay, I just want you to be aware of that. What's going on, Steve? What's going on, brother? Yes, there is no doubt that you are 100% becoming a scholar in the aspect of the rights, the history, the terminology. There's a lot that goes to it, I know. But in that aspect, you are becoming one that is fully aware in full capacity and knowing. And we can have these discussions now because it's beyond just if or when somebody gets pulled over, you're going to. But in that aspect, I believe that we all have the power now to intelligently get up and stand on our rights. I hear a lot of people making excuses out there for others saying, I don't think they can do it. I think they can. I think people can learn how to stand on their rights and know who they are. And I think they have a duty and purpose to be able to do so as well. Not only at our municipalities and our community meetings, which I will start doing soon. You'll see me, but then also in the aspect of individuals on our own, going up and having these conversations directly with chiefs, lieutenants, sheriffs, the whole 9 yards, y'all. These people are not far off away from us. I understand they got their own clique and they're going to look out for their own. I get it. I'm not saying that's currently how it is. It may just be that way in your place where you live. It may just be it's us against you, buddy. We ain't playing none of that crap you bringing up here. I just want you to know that right now. Hey, you can record that and you should. And if you're getting railroaded in those aspects, this is most definitely why you should be recording. Because again, there are our public servants, and it's not as though we're over them, right? In that in an aspect, but again, there are our public servants. They've taken on that title of nobility as such. And we're just asking that they do that and honor their oath. And that's not much to ask. I don't think that's too much to ask at all. I love Carl Miller. Carl Miller is my grandfather, if y'all didn't know. Not biologically, but in spirit and in truth. Carl Miller, I don't know if y'all noticed this, but I do have a court hearing. I think it's the one where it was a kangaroo court, court of no record, should be the name of the video. And yeah, I hit a little bit of Carl Miller in there. If you didn't hear me, I hit the Carl Miller on them boys. I'd like to collect my due costs and fees for having to deal with this frivolous matter today. Okay. Don't get it wrong. I'll get in there and start hitting the Carl Miller on him. And you know what? Since y'all mentioning Carl Miller, how about we go through Carl Miller one of these days here soon? We'll play some things and just reminisce on the beautiful spirit of Carl Miller. Hey, it's weird. It's like, yeah, Carl Miller is my guy. Okay. So let's get into where we left off on part 12. I'm going to retract just a little bit because I think it's a beautiful thing to hear this section again. Again, if you want to get into this document, it is called the Right to Travel PDF, straight up in the Right to Travel course. Again, that course is free. It's down in the description for sure, and it has a playlist of videos, and it also has a section for documents. You can go in there and get all the documents, whether it's supporting documentation for you to learn more, such as this, or motions, templates, things, abatements. You know what I'm saying? All right, so let's get started off with part 13, y'all. Good afternoon, Ralph. Good afternoon, Steve. Good afternoon, Hourglass. Good afternoon, the tribe. Good afternoon, J Fly, the pump guy. Wow, what a name. Let's go. What does all this mean? It means that the state should take caution to warn travelers that an application for a driver's license or an operator's license moves the traveler from the free use category to a full time regulated business category. Again, the state should take caution to warn travelers that an application for a driver's license or an operator's license moves the traveler and those rights from a free use category to a full time regulated business category. Conversely, a traveler has an obligation to make his non business presence known to the state. Are you filing those notice of liabilities? Are you sending information off to the sheriff in your county? See what I'm saying? Got to get out there, and it's an obligation. It says it right here. Conversely, a traveler has an obligation to make his non business presence known to the state. Put him on notice. Thank you. The state owes a duty to fulfill disclosure as to the distinction purpose of and use for the application for driver operator license. When that free use traveler distinction is made, the several classifications of vehicles, and motor vehicles become irrelevant. When that free use traveler distinction is made, the several classifications of vehicles and motor vehicles becomes irrelevant. Thank you. The state's regulatory authority stops predominantly, not entirely, at the regulation of businesses. The state has a duty to protect all travelers as members of the general public. Now, all the while it is surveying the roads affecting its business regulatory police power. The state cannot force an individual into a business license, i.e., driver's license of any kind, and must accept the private traveler on the common highway. It's an acceptance that they must have. It cannot be stopped. It cannot be ruined. It cannot be relinquished. It cannot be haltered. It cannot be, your rights cannot be uh, taken. They cannot be violated in any manner. And I understand the public safety aspect, but I'm telling you right now, a driver's license does not stop public safety. A license plate does not stop safety. Licenses are not for the conduct of business and commerce, and the private traveler cannot be forced by attrition to relinquish or surrender his common law access to the highways for some license to engage in a business pursuit. The state has an obligation to allow. The state has an obligation to allow. The state has an obligation to allow private use of the highways. When a policeman stops a traveler, he is trespassing, creating a private nuisance. A private nuisance. If the policeman issues a traffic infraction, he creates an aggravation of circumstance, there and of itself alone. Although the infraction is tantamount to a solicitation and thusly an invitation to engage in a secured transaction, saving elaboration, see UCC 1, offering an opportunity to the traveler to submit to state jurisdiction. Give me that ID, boy. I need that there. I need that there ID. If I can't get it, I can't do what I want to do to you. And or admit that someone was actually driving a business. No, sir, you're driving. No, sir, you're driving. No, sir, you are driving a motor vehicle. How many times are you going to say that, good sir, before you understand and really comprehend that that is not the case here, good sir? Good sir. Good sir. Now, this aspect right here allows me to see and understand why people start talking about fee schedules, putting the city, mayor, council members, police department, chief with notice of liability, sheriff within whatever county you're traveling in on notice. It's the whole point. You have an obligation to. Okay. Now, the nuisance theory is reciprocal. It is the nuisance post trespass which creates the tort liability of John Doe policeman. The fact that John Doe policeman has impeded the ability to travel. He is the very epitome of an obstruction. So now we flipping the script on, instead of them putting an obstruction on us, in a presumption aspect that they are the ones who have authority. Right off the bat, without clarifying that there is said driver's license, thereby trying to allow their obstruction to be put in place. When in all actuality, if you're traveling in your private capacity, you can flip that public nuisance as an obstruction upon you due to the fact that you have already put the city, county, sheriff, police department on notice. This is part of being responsible to manage your own affairs. It's very key in understanding the private versus the public versus you being the highest of authority and enforcing and invoking your rights. That's all it comes down to, is knowledge. When you have these conversations up front, like they do on the back end with judges, or like they do on the back end with lawyers, or like they do on the back end with lots of several people when they have meetings, I've had those meetings. I can account for that. The nuisance theory is reciprocal. It is this nuisance post trespass which creates the tort liability of John Doe policeman. The fact that John Doe policeman has impeded the ability to travel. He is the very epitome of an obstruction. Black Law's dictionary defines nuisance as nuisance, a condition or situation that interferes with the use or enjoyment of property. Quotations, a nuisance is a state of affairs. To conduct a nuisance is a tort. Quote, the right of the public in a common highway is paramount and controlling. This right extends to the entire territory within its limits, and an obstruction placed upon any part of it constitutes a public nuisance. Commonwealth versus King. Quote, the law applied to motor vehicles. Oh, yeah. Babbitt. See, 1911. See, citing Morton versus Moore. To further define nuisance, we'll look to Washington statutes to discern between a public and private nuisance. First, we find a poignant statement of nuisance affecting the state actors at RCW 7.48.120, which reads as follows. Nuisance defined. Nuisance consists in unlawfully doing an act, or, well, that's perfect in itself, consists in unlawfully doing an act. So if I'm traveling in my private conveyance and you demand that I give you some sort of ID when I know that I don't have to, and I ignore that unlawful command, and you decide then that you are going to violate me by breaking my window or taking up my time to try and escalate the manner and use your tactics of dominance and intimidation. If I've done everything properly, put everybody in notice, it would thereby be considered an unlawful doing, a nuisance. Now, or omitting to perform a duty which act or omission either annoys, clearly I don't want to be annoyed. I have the free, eligibility to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, don't I? Tell me if I'm wrong. So if I'm being annoyed, you're ruining my happiness. Injures or endangers the comfort. Oh my God. They're going even as far as to say my comfortability, repose, health, or safety of others. Oh, my health? My safety? Now, my mental state also falls in line with my health. Then my safety comes in line with me feeling safe in my own person. If you come up to me banging on my window, harassing me and threatening me with arrest and all kinds of things that would not only harm me and my health, but the safety of my children and my family, that then would be a public nuisance, which would be an unlawful doing of an act, which would thereby be considered a tort, which could thereby be brung into civil court, both on the state and federal side. We not playing with this no more. We have to understand how deep our rights go. We have to understand that there's no need to fear qualified immunity as much as one may put forth. I've been watching every day now at least 6 to 7 on 1.5 speed of these Supreme Court cases in relation to qualified immunity over the past couple of years. And you would be amazed to see how many qualified immunity cases are being denied in relation to their approval of the motion to dismiss. Now, if one offends decency or unlawfully interferes with, obstructs, or tends to obstruct, or render dangerous for passage, any lake or navigable river, bay, stream, canal, or basin, or any public park, square, street, or highway, even street or highway, it says, in this nuisance, or in any way renders other persons insecure in life or in the use of property. Emphasis added. Well, this is literally RCW 7.48.120, where nuisance is defined as, if you know you're driving in your, or traveling in your private conveyance and you have a nuisance, which means that anyone's annoying you, it's an unlawful doing of an act, especially if you've already given notice. Yes, kinetic. So all public officers are a public nuisance if you are abiding and conducting yourself in a safe and orderly manner, right? We remember this from the Supreme Court rulings. You must be conducting yourself in a safe and orderly manner. Now, below is the distinction of public versus private. Uh-oh, thank you. We're getting into it. Carefully noting, though, that a public nuisance is when an obstruction affects the whole of the public. Okay, thank you. As likened to the roadblock or fallen tree, which prevents passage to all people. RCW 7.48.130 reads as follows. Public nuisance defined. A public nuisance is one which affects equally the rights of an entire community or neighborhood, although the extent of the damage may be unequal. Now, traveling privately is not unlawful. Conversely, police license regulation directed to private travel is not lawful. What concerns the personal private traveler is the following statute. The private nuisance is one that affects an individual interest and not the whole of the public. RCW 7.48.150 reads as follows, which again, y'all need to remember. What is excessive speed? I don't know, man. We'd have to get into that one another time. Let me ask you this one, though. Let me ask you this one. Y'all know that a lot of these, I'm going through Washington revised codes right now, which are pretty much similar to like, Texas statutes, ordinances, whatever the case may be, as far as your state statutes are concerned, right? A lot of what I'm reading right now through my own revised codes of Washington fall very similar to something within your state. Okay. So if you kind of just look for these same words within your statutes, you should be able to find something similar and be able to relate the same. That's kind of how it works, bro. It's what we've come to find. Okay. So every nuisance not included in the definition of RCW 7.48.130 is private, but policeman, but the policeman is protected by the state, right? No, not in the instance of a personal private traveler. It was found at RCW 4.8.120 above that a nuisance is, quote, unlawfully doing an act. See how I pointed that out? I knew it had, say, man, y'all got to start. That's the thing is like I was breaking down some words or a statute the other day with somebody and they brought up a statute. It was on our episode 3 on our Operation Wise Dome. Y'all can find that on the website too. You can see like past episodes. And on this episode, they made me go and look at a statute, and I read it, and I broke it down. It's like they think it applies to them, but when you really look at the statute, these statutes a lot of the times have two elements that must be met. And even though one of the elements may be met in your scenario, both of them have to be met. And people be reading it and they be thinking that it's just crazy. They have to meet both of them. It's not either or in a lot of cases. So, does the policeman have a lawful authority to interfere with private travel? Not according to 110 plus years of legal authority contained in the breath of this writing. That's why we're now on episode 13, which is actually 14 plus hours in, y'all. There's nowhere. None of it has been repealed. The right to travel has been 110 years plus, standing strong, because no one can take your life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Included in that is your movement, is your eligibility to move as you see fit, as long as you conduct yourself safely, thereby needing no regulation at all. The state is not in disagreement with this statement. State policy is found at RCW 4.92.070, which says that the state will defend an employee if he is within the scope of his official duties. Well, that one right there should ring some bells. Ding dong! Official duties. Well, if it makes mention that I'm traveling in my private capacity and you continue to harass, if you continue to threaten, well, then you become a public nuisance because you are doing an act which is unlawful in its originality. Correct? Yes or no? Yes or no? Again, it says that the state policy is found, which says that the state will defend an employee if, if he is within the scope of his official duties. Because RCW 4.92.070 reads, which I'm sure you can find something similar, y'all. If the Attorney General shall find that said officer, the Attorney General, are you making reports and contacting your Attorney General? If the Attorney General find that said officer, employee, or volunteer acts or omissions were or were purported to be in good faith within the scope of that person's official duties. So the police officials' duties are restricted to regulating businesses, as we've learned. It is not a public employee defense that a traveler did not apply for an employee driver's license and or convey an interest in the automobile to the state by registering it as a business or even pay quarterly business taxes. It is also not a defense that so many other persons have licenses. While the state has an obvious interest in the money machine that the Department of Licensing. Permission. We are the department of giving permission slips to everybody. Has allowed to burden by way of failure to disclose the true intent of the licenses and yet accept every single license application that crosses the counter. It does not itself obviate the individual policeman from liability in tort for trespass. Do you see how basic it gets? Now we're starting to understand that it's really even basically this. These private nuisances, but private nuisances itself is a tort and trespass, especially after sending in your notice of liability. Yo, what's up, Sly Shy? Rage Girl Radio in the house. We are free on foot and in car. You are exactly correct. I got a video that I posted up. It was about Kennedy, or it was of Kennedy. He's speaking in a committee, and he come on talking to somebody high up in the police agency aspect, right? And Kennedy asked this boy. He said, "Hey man, I just want to ask you, if I'm just walking on the street, can a police officer come up and demand give ID or something like that?" And the boy said, "Well, no, sir. He can come up and ask for your consent." He said, "Okay, all right, good." Then he goes, "Well, if I'm driving on the road and there's a stop, and this stop is asking everybody to show insurance, proof of liability, what's the difference between that and being walking on the road then?" And the guy wouldn't answer, not one time, wouldn't answer. He had no answer for Kennedy whatsoever. Again, your rights don't end just because you get in your private property. That's not what happens here. You are free from every aspect of your life until you bring harm into another. And there is nothing else in which can stop you from being free. You have no authority, y'all. It's not very hard. I don't know why you ain't living on that. I don't know why you ain't standing on that. I don't know why we ain't teaching that. I don't know why we ain't believing that. I don't know why we ain't creating behind that. This isn't a I'm more powerful than you. I'm more dominant than you. This isn't a I'm an asshole and you can't tell me what to do, prick. This isn't this isn't that. This is a understanding that we are all free to be and should accept everyone and not judge from opinions. Because deep down within, we can realize that this person may realize the same that I realize within. That I am you and you are we. If we begin that aspect, we can't fail. We can't fail. There's no way to fail. There's no way to fail. There's no way to fail. Okay. Again, that private nuisance, when you've given your notice of liability, is a liability in tort for trespass. Now, when we get done with this series, what I'm going to do, I guess, is I'm going to go through the aspect of why I filed a notice of liability, Because if I get any violations set against me, I then pursue in a UCC contract manner. Why? Because I've given presentment of my contract an offer. I've given them consideration. They're reviewing it. I've asked for a copy for them to file. They take it back, copy it, file it, and give me a copy. That's acceptance. Okay? Now, if they again violate after my notice of liability has been accepted, which is we're in contract now, I then can begin an administrative process. Letter one, hey, you've breached the contract. Okay, I'm going to need a response, and this is what I'm going to be demanding. Okay. If they don't respond within my 30 days as requested, I'm sending two, breach of contract with a notice to pay. Okay. If they don't respond again, we're sending a third one out. Okay. And we're letting them know last straw. This is it. If you don't take care of the issue at hand, we'll respond in any way. This is tacit acquiescence to what has occurred, and I am going to pursue you in civil litigation. Okay. They don't answer that third. Let's go. You don't got to send a notice of claim. You don't got to send a intent to sue letter. You're not suing anybody in that aspect. You can go right to state and federal. Some people may say, oh, well, that doesn't work. Guess what? It does work. It shows that what you've done is you've established a record that I established that I was not going to allow them to violate my rights. By doing such, you have established I am enforcing and invoking all of my rights not to be violated by filing this notice of liability. I am letting you know now that I know. I am going to be traveling in my private capacity. Do not harass, do not detain, do not trespass upon my rights. Is that okay with you guys? That's perfectly fine, Mr. Wilson. All right. Y'all have a blessed day. Anything happens after that, it is a private nuisance. Okay? It's an unlawful act, especially if you are not in violation, you know, if you're conducting yourself in a safe and orderly manner. Okay? Then again, because of that contract and notice of liability, you can file the administrative process. This again builds your court record. You now have things to submit as far as exhibits that I've let them know to try to take care of this in what the courts call, in the district courts, alternative dispute resolutions. I already tried that. I tried that. Court, Your Honor, I tried that. I sent several letters, certified return receipt. I've got all of them here with all the proof. They never, not one time, Your Honor, returned anything to me, Your Honor. Not one time did they ever return anything to me, Your Honor. They ignored me like I was nobody after they violated my rights. They called my job. They humiliated me, made me where I couldn't be able to get out here and be on, go out to commercial leads anymore. They literally, I could go on. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not going to rant right now. We're going to go back into the document like we're supposed to be doing. It is not a defense that the policeman does not know that the breadth of the law, which is stated in this writing. Did you hear that? Let's say it again. It is not a defense that the policeman does not know the breadth of the law, which is stated in this writing. There we go. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. If it's no excuse for us, then it's no excuse for them. That means you, city, need to make sure to train your police officers better in relation to constitutional law. And if they can't, maybe they need to hire power inherent in the people channel to come through with its members to do a quick little training on what is constitutional and what is not. I'm sure we can develop a course for everybody so that we can build unity within our communities again. I don't think that's something bad to put your money on. If you don't ask, if you ask me myself, I think we'd do a pretty damn good job of making sure that constitutional liberties are taught within police departments instead of what's currently being taught within academies, especially in New Jersey, where you feel good just to go and beat somebody up. Out here hiring UFC fighters to come through and teach cops that We're getting hands-on all the time. Hoorah! What? No, sir. That is not what police. No, sir. No, sir. That is not what law enforcement is about. Excuse me, you're in the wrong category here. Okay, this isn't hoorah. Okay, this is not hoorah. What's up, Donald? What's up, Joseph? What's up, AK Audits? Who else we got in this thing? What's up, Af- Aflisi, Aflese, Aflisi, Aflese, Aflese? So let's see. A policy enforcement employee who affronts the private traveler should be trained. Oh, it says right here, even before this, then he is poorly trained in the law of the highways. A policy enforcement employee who affronts the private traveler should be trained in the breadth of this legal study. Quote, the determination of who is adversely affected or aggrieved within the meaning of any relevant statute has been marked out largely by the gradual judicial process of inclusion and exclusion, aided at times by the court's judgment as to the probable legislative intent derived from the spirit of this statutory scheme. Derived from the spirit of this statutory scheme. It's pretty strong. Federal Administrative Procedure Sourcebook, 4th edition, 2008. There goes something recent for you boys. Quote, that the streets of the city are highways of the state, and therefore public roads, which every citizen has a right to use, is a valid argument against stopping or unreasonably hindering travel over the streets, but it is no argument at all against subjecting travel over those streets to rules and regulations, unquote. Unquote! Tell me we ain't got the power. Tell me we ain't got the power. Tell me we ain't got the power. The law applied to motor vehicles, Babbitt, Section 43. It's clear as day. City of St. Louis versus Green. These things cannot be taken away. That the streets of the city are highways of the state, and therefore public roads which every citizen has a right to use, is a valid argument against stopping or unreasonably hindering travel over the streets. But it is no argument at all against subjecting travel over those streets to rules and regulations. You can't stop it. It is plain and clear for all to read. Let me get my 7-year-old down here. Do I need to get my 7-year-old down here? Can I read her this and ask her interpretation? Do we need to get my 7-year-old down here? People are living in fear and saying, "Oh no, man!" But people are going to get hurt out here by police if they do like what you're saying, Cameron. It's not what I'm saying. It's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it. I am not saying it. I'm reading it. I'm reading it. What do you mean, me? It's not me. I'm reading the laws. What are you talking about? If they do it, why are you scared? You know you have a civil suit from reading this, being in this playlist alone. You've been duped based on fear and ignorance. We're not ignorant no more. We got the knowledge. There's no more intimidation that can fly. That fear ain't gonna work. I'm sorry. It's not gonna work. I ain't gonna obey and comply when I have not hurt anyone. I'm not a slave. I'm not a slave. You're not going to make a warrantless arrest here today, sir. You're not going to make a warrantless arrest here today, sir. You're not going to violate my due process liberties, good sir. I know my due process. And I know you don't want to. However, should a person actually possess a driver or operator's license, admittedly suffers to contributory negligence learning curve, which is what we're trying to combat. Am I right or wrong? I'm trying to be very polite. I'm trying to be very understanding that this can take a while to learn, but this series can't. You're a scholar by this point. Notwithstanding that, an individual can use a company vehicle without a driver's license, according to the Sheffield Court, State versus Sheffield, 82 WN 2D 872. The fact that a business license is in effect on the vehicle pugnaciously mandates that a person take up the traffic infraction solicitation and go to court and mitigate the damages because the alleged driver presumptively falls under the prescript of the statute regulation. Now, people have a right to use the common highways, but equally have an obligation to notice the state of that intended use. Mm, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. For the simple reasons that one is simply exercising the existential right to free use of the highways and is not an enemy combatant. It's all about notice. Are you putting them on notice? Notice. Does your license plate say not for hire? Notice. Notice. Are you putting your city and county's office on notice? Now you see why the notice of liability is so important, right? Because let's say you did get said ticket after you filed your notice of liability, what can you thereby do? You could go into the court if you thereby must file your abatement with something stating that this notice of liability was filed on blase blase with cha-ching. Okay. Okay. The city is now liable for tort action for okay private nuisance. Okay. You got to understand the reason they've been getting away with it is because nobody's been knowing just the small steps of enforcement. It's notice and enforcement. For the simple reasons that one is simply exercising the existential right to free use of the highways and is not an enemy combatant. Once notice is given, the state, by any one or more agencies, of one of the status of private traveler, the full weight of tort liability falls on the policeman who has actually engages and detains the personal private traveler. You hear him. You hear him. If the police are going to enforce the law, they should know the law, the effect for, and the effect of said law. Public disclosure. Let's get into it. Let's check into what y'all are saying real quick. Later, radio. If radio's got to go. Peace. What's up, Sean? Who else is showing up in this thing? Who else we got up in this thing? Vicious up in this thing. What's up, Vicious? Mark became a member. Hey, Mark. Welcome, brother. Joseph in this thing. Channel 3 News. Wing wong. Okay, okay. I see y'all in here. What's up, Hourglass? Yeah, man. Yeah, y'all double tap the like. Also, I got in the pinned comment is the traffic law reform. If you're new here, please go and sign that. We are pushing very heavily for traffic law reform. We have over 550 signatures thus far. We're trying to get it to 1,000. That way we can push it over to all of our legislators and senators as we're coming into this whole new presidential, January's coming, so we want to get it to 1,000 so we can push through and really get this traffic law reform. We're already seeing a lot of reforms starting to happen across the board with other foundations that are doing a lot of work that we hope to work with in the future. One of them being Fines and Fees Justice Center, which is doing a lot of work on their end. And I was just reading an email that I got from them this morning. I'm part of their newsletter. I hope to work with them in the future, man. They're doing some good work. All right. So, public disclosure. This writer undertook to get information from the State of Washington Department of Licensing, or the DOL, to quantify the policy law stated herein this writing. A series of public disclosure PD inquiries went out and were answered in a timely, professional manner. The PDs, or public disclosures themselves, and the emails exchanged are part of permanent files retained by this writer. What was queried is documented hereafter. The first set of requests was for the establishment of the license plates on vehicles. Those questions were presented as follows. Is the vehicle license plate number a business license? If the license plate number blank is a vehicle business license, if blank is not the business license number for the vehicle, please provide the business license number for said vehicle. At the time of and upon the application in blank for a vehicle license, what was the name of the business printed on the application for license? Now, at the time of and upon the application in blank for a vehicle license, what was the type of business the vehicle was registered under? Please provide a copy of the application for vehicle license congruent with the vehicle license stated above. The response received from the Department of Licensing indicated that the license plate number was not registered to a business, but only to a person's name, and further requested me to fill out a notarized request using their form, which was done. The notarized request was required by the DOL because the information requested may fall under the purview of the Privacy Act. The notarized request was filled out and sent with these questions. Please provide me a copy of the original application for the vehicle license on a specific vehicle. Please provide a copy of the original application for the driver's license for a particular person. Please provide also a copy of the original application for an operator's license for a specified person with a known or specified license number. Attached is a separate public disclosure, what was a question as to the DOL's use of the term personal driver license, which is the term the DOL uses on their disclosure form in response to the state request for a driver abstract when they suspend the driver license of a driver. Included in this query was the use of the term private driver license. The DOL does not know that a private driver's license is, quote, not no responsive record found, unquote. See responsive items 11 through 12 below. In response to the question of a personal driver license, the DOL stated thus, finally, in response to your question, quote, is there a specific statute that uses the language personal driver's license, unquote. I can only assert that the statute I provided, RCW 46.20.001, provides the authority for driver's licensing. Quote, no person may drive a motor vehicle upon a highway in this state without first obtaining a valid driver's license. Unquote. As to the question for the copy of a driver's license application, a notarized form swearing that the information would not be disseminated was sent, intended as requested to protect personal information. A response came back telling me that the information would not be released because it contained personal information and also that the record of question was aged and unavailable. Oh no, the old we can't find it in our filing cabinets. NASA couldn't go back and rebuild the moon lander because it's old technology and they lost the tapes. Oh, we can't find it no more. It's gone, man. How convenient. Hey, if y'all can hear me okay and everything's coming through good, y'all throw a one in the chat real quick. Let me know y'all with me. Want to know everything's sounding okay. My mic's working good. Yesterday we had some mic problems. Okay, we got a one in the chat. That's good. That's good. Okay. Now let's see. The DOL was asked to provide a copy of a blank form application for vehicle license and a blank form application for driver's license. While waiting for a response to the vehicle licensing questions, a public disclosure was sent asking if the DOL has a form similar to the U.S. FMCSA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Act, DOT-150. The DOL's response is that the state does not have a form similar to the DOT 150. And we all know what Department of Transportation is all about, right? Transportation is all about your carriers, okay? And those motor vehicles or motor carriers. Carriers have three forms and they're all under business, all under commercial. In response to the question of application for a vehicle license, the response came back with a blank specimen. Vehicle certificate of ownership title application. Oh, do you want that? Do you want that vehicle certificate? Yeah, you want that. You want this right here, right? They say it's a title, but you want that certificate, right? The MCO manufacturers, along with With that was a computer-generated application for driver's license. No hard copy form exists for inspection prior to application, as noted in item 6, responses below. 5. A blank copy of application for vehicle registration requested by email of Sunday, October 11th, 2009. A copy of the vehicle certificate of ownership title application form is enclosed with the posted copy of this letter and under the file name Vehicle Registration Application PDF accompanies the email carrying the electronic version of this letter. 6. A blank application for a driver's license requested by email on Sunday, October the 11th, 2009. This form does not exist as a paper form, nor can it be printed as a blank form. I wonder why. Why can't we have that paper to read and understand everything that's included in that driver's license application itself? Don't you think that's very important for us to know, read, examine, to see what we are giving away in a contract that is so important, that comes with so many ways in which you can be found in violation? That comes with the implicability or the applicability of knowing, or at least supposedly supposed to be knowing, that while using that driver's license, that's only being in commerce. Man, there's a reason why they don't print that bad boy out. Wouldn't you agree? Ah, that's right, Channel 3. Ah, there's a reason right there. The application for driver's license is completed by the licensing service representative questioning the applicant. Only then is it printed, after which it is signed by the applicant. An example of both the record of application and the application for commercial driver's license from a record creating for system testing is enclosed with the posted copy of this letter, and under the file name DL application accompanies the email carrying the electronic version of this letter. 7. Application for vehicle operator's license. Of course, this is also requested on a letter dated October 15th and received at Master License Service on October 26th. The response of record is the same as that supplied in satisfaction of the item 6 above. Number 8, application for motor vehicle operator's license. Okay, so let's see. Driver's license was for 6, and an application for motor vehicle operator's license was number 8. Okay, and it's to the Master License Service, which was different. Said the responsive record is the same as in 6 as well. Okay. So no matter how you splice it, driver's license, motor vehicle operator's license. Number 9, application for driver's license, and this was sent over to the master. The responsive record is the same as 6. Okay. Vehicle registration, same as 5. Okay. The statutory authority, which uses the language personal as it applies to driver's license. This was sent over to the master license service again. Driver's licenses are required by and issued pursuant to Chapter 46.20.001 of the Revised Codes of Washington. Okay. RCW 46.20.001, license required. Rights and restriction. Rights and restriction. Huh? Okay. Let's see if they're going to try and restrict some rights here. Whenever you see rights and restriction in the same sentence, all I can think is it's null and void right off the jump, man. Like, what? Rights and restriction, they don't commingle, bro, unless you consent or waive them. Goddamn right. Okay. We ain't waiving nothing, Papa Bear. And no, sirree. Number 1, no person may drive a motor vehicle upon a public highway in the state without first obtaining a valid driver's license issued to Washington state residents. The business is a resident under this chapter. The only exceptions to this requirement are those expressly allowed by RCW 46.20.025. A person licensed as a driver under this chapter may exercise the privilege upon all highways in this state. B, may not be required by a political subdivision to obtain any other license to exercise the privilege. C, may not have more than one valid driver's license at a time. 12. The statutory authority for issue, sick, of private driver's license. When he sent in for the authority on private driver's license, no responsive record found. Yeah, give me that. Yeah, give me that. Give me that. Because you can't say nothing because I can drive private. You can't stop it, so don't try it. Because we the highest. Hmm. Might be the flyers, but I ain't over you. I'm just saying, bro. You know it's true. I don't know if I back the blue. If y'all gonna be out here taking people's property, that's not cool. So it is determined that an application for license plates and an application for registration are the same thing. An application for title is an application for a business license, which application doubles as the signing over of ownership interest in an automobile to the state, giving the state an interest in personal property, which authorizes the regulation of the business that was created between you and the state. Remember, you have unlimited power to contract, but you also have unlimited power not to contract. So stay out of contract with the state. Nobody is forcing you. You've been duped to believe that you have to be forced by not understanding your rights. That's the biggest problem that we have of it all. Is you don't know your rights. If you don't know them, then how are you going to enforce them and invoke them? And if anybody thereby violates them, we can understand that now we have a community of pro se people that are coming together and learning in very quickly utilizing AI to go in and bring upon their own suits. It's not hard to watch for a week appeals, arguments in courts to understand how to operate while learning. There's plenty of federal rules of civil procedure now online where you can go and literally listen to the whole federal rules of civil procedure. Get all the rules, write down. Don't get it the once, listen again. It's time to learn so that we can enforce and we can stop the violations and bring upon unity. Because you got to understand what happens with when we file these suits. If it's not all about money, what can it about? It can be about you have to instill an education program into the school system. Think about if one of our civil suits required and mandated that they implement within the next 6 to 12 months an education program within the school systems, or a public education aspect, or with it at the Department of Licensing. Like, there's so many things that can be created with us and now learning how to enforce our rights and not waiving them when they violate us. So that way, it's not just about money. It's not just about getting back. It's actually about empowering, using the education, the experience, the situation to empower others, right? I think that's the bigger goal here, is to empower others. I know nobody wants to get into a dangerous situation, but at the same time, you know your rights. Are you going to stand on them, or are you going to keep waiving them? Right? I think we have something that we have to stand up for so that our kids don't go through what we're going through now, and it can only get worse or it can only get better. If we keep succumbing due to ignorance, we only get worse. If we stand up, succumb to knowledge, then we retain our rights and we all live better. Because we already know this is the last stage before traffic law reform has to come into play, anyways. We have driverless cars coming all about. So the traffic law reform has to definitely change. Because let's think of now autonomous cars getting pulled over by cops. Well, how does that work? If one's not even the driver anymore, what are we going to do about you? Just what kind of probable cause can then be brought forth? You see what I'm saying? Oh, because you suspected someone was in that car, you have no probable cause whatsoever. Just like you have no probable cause, you can't just pull over a bike on the side of the road unless you've suspected them of committing a crime. Like, we have to go back to the understandings that private property is private property. And until one causes harm or falls outside of the line of safety and caution, such as maybe speed and traffic lights, etc., then thereby there is an issue. But beyond that, we have to stop it. The towing of private property, the violation of due process, the the I mean, there's deaths on both sides, both on cops and on the public side. Of course, way more on the public side, but we have too many deaths occurring from traffic stops, and it must end. There's no reason for it. You don't have the rights to even do so because most people are all 95% of the people who have driver's license are driving in a personal aspect. I want to read something real quick to y'all. I'm gonna find it just real quick. It won't take me no more than 30 seconds. This is something that I was going over, and I really had to bring it to the community. I just want to read it. I think it makes a lot of sense to me. I know the words are a little big. Some people be like, dude, I've never had to look up so many words, but it's really true. And it's really cool because y'all have already given 126 votes on it. Out of those 126 votes, 96% of y'all agreed, 4% of y'all disagreed. I guess I can I guess I can well, I'm just gonna read it real quick instead of bringing it over, causing all these problems. It is axiomatic that merely possessing a government-issued driver's license, vehicle registration, or license plate does not, per se, safeguard the public or guarantee competence behind the wheel. Such documents serve, at best, as prima facie proof that an individual has undergone a state-sanctioned administrative process, one that often involves perfunctory testing and cursory verification of minimal operational skill. The conferral of a license or the attachment of a registration sticker to a vehicle windshield does not, in and of itself, impose any tangible restraints on a driver's capacity to engage in reckless, negligent, or malicious conduct upon the police roadways. Indeed, the jurisprudential rationale, often proffered in defense of these regulatory mandates, proceeds from a flawed assumption that state issued credentials inherently diminish the incidence of harm. Yet, the mere possession of a credential is not an active agent of public safety. Drivers who are fully licensed and whose vehicles carry valid registration routinely commit infractions, cause accidents, and place others at risk. This reality belies the notion that licensure or registration has any intrinsic prophylactic effect on dangerous conduct. To the extent that a Supreme Court justice or any jurist of high authority might conclude that licensure or registration themselves meaningfully ensure public safety, such a stance reveals an incomplete comprehension of the deeper American constitutional ethos. At its core, the American tradition cherishes individual liberty, autonomy, and the right to travel unencumbered by arbitrary impositions of state power. Where the government attempts to conflate bureaucratic compliance with actualized safety, it misapprehends the relationship between freedom and responsibility, substituting symbolic badges of state approval for genuine situationally informed measures that would truly enhance roadway safety. Roadway safety only. In short, reliance on these formalities as bulwarks of public welfare is illusory. Imagination, illusion. They do not actively restrain misconduct whatsoever. It doesn't help with any misconduct whatsoever. They only facilitate enforcement after the fact. To valorize to valorize licensing and registration as the essence of public safety is to exalt form over substance. Such a perspective undermines the core values of sovereignty and liberty that lie at the heart of the American jurisprudence and runs counter to the fundamental principle that a free people must not be compelled, must not be compelled, must not be compelled to seek permission from the state to exercise right integral in their daily lives. Let everybody in the world know in the chat if you agree or disagree. Let the world know if you agree or disagree in the chat. So it is determined that an application for license plates and an application for registration are the same thing. An application for a title is an application for a business license, which application doubles as the signing over of ownership interest in an automobile to the state, giving the state an interest in personal property, which authorizes the regulation of the business that was created. A public disclosure was sent to the DOL asking them to clarify vehicle license plates. The public disclosure asked the DOL if it could be correctly determined that the license plate configuration 000AAA was a passenger carrier and the configuration A as a common carrier. 3 responses were received initially stating that the OOOOAAA plates are passenger and the AOOOOOOA plates are for trucks. Oh, see how they doing you? To galvanize the certainty in this writing that license plates are businesses that are business related, these questions were asked of the DOL. But notice below that the DOL has declared the license plates to be an unidentifiable record, and further will not definitively say yes, they are business license plates. Neither will they say definitely no, that they are not business license plates. Query. 1. As it pertains to the license plate configuration and the relation to the attached disclosure request, could you please state with clarity whether these are in fact license plates issued to carrier businesses, and in so stating? 2. I would ask that you answer the disclosure request and state with clarity if an application for vehicle title and an application to register a vehicle is in fact registering a business. 3. I am still not clear on the term personal travel driver license. Ben attempted to locate the term personal in statute but could not. I asked again, could you please tell me what statute I can find the term personal as it exists on the attached DOL research document? 4. If the term personal does not exist in statute authority, could you identify the term as a misnomer or provide statutory authority to issue personal driver license? Response. We have provided all the public records you requested. Your remaining questions below are not requests for identifiable public records. Since I am with the Public Disclosure Office, I can't effectively respond to them, with the exception of item 2. The titling and registration of a vehicle is not the same as obtaining a Washington state business license. Our website gives a very nice guide to business licensing at some businesses own some business own vehicles and register the vehicles under the business name. Of course, you know from prior communications that state agency staff cannot give legal advice and will not indulge in speculative interpretations of the law. Oh man. So it's so funny that these people work for an agency and that agency has a policy and that policy is formed off the law. But yet you can't give us any kind of understanding of how it's applicable to your policy? You see what I'm saying, bro? Like, what do you mean? Your policy is based off the legislation. You're supposed to know the policy. So if you're supposed to know the policy, you must know also the regulation or the legislation that involves your policy. At least you should. As seen from the above public disclosure response received from the single, sole, and only agency responsible for issuing license plates in the state of Washington, when asked if the license plates issued are for carrier businesses, and in so doing, if applying for title to register a vehicle is in fact registering a business, the Department of Licensing's response is that they are not requests for identifiable public records. Not requests for identifiable public records. How is that possible? And that the DOL or Department of Licensing can't effectively respond to them. How can you not? What do you mean you can't effectively respond to them? Because to do so would be to engage in speculative interpretations of the law. What do you mean? What do you mean? When we resort to the maxim of law, being the expression of one thing is the exclusion of the other, and then look around on the highways, what is found is that two-door and four-door sedans, station wagons, and smaller sport utility vehicles all adorn 000 AAA license plate. Now, if a taxi cab business has this license plate, what does that make the rest of the vehicles? If the answer is passenger carrier business, that's correct. Were the quarterly business taxes paid to the Department of Revenue? On the other on the other hand, though, notice that the larger sport utility vehicles and pickup trucks and vans all have the same A with a whole bunch of zeros and A license plate that is found on the semi-tractor trailer, big rigs, and community transit buses. If it is the expression of one thing that the license plate nomenclature is a common carrier. Does that make John Doe's pickup truck a common carrier? Absolutely, it does. So, to be the exclusion of the other or common traveler, no registration, title, or license as a business is required. On the computer generated driver's license application form that was received for the DOL, after a few requisite questions, mostly questions establishing a legal person and its residence, there is a signature line certification. First, it must be sworn that the person applying for the license is the person signing. The second half of the certification reads thus, quote, I grant the Department of Licensing permission permission. Oh, wow, bro, that's good. I grant the Department of Licensing permission to consider this application with the understanding this permission cannot be withdrawn. Oh my God. Oh my God. What are they talking about? Cannot be withdrawn. Cannot be withdrawn. Wow. That's crazy. That sounds pretty bad if you ask me. Cannot be withdrawn? Wow. I hope y'all aren't stuck in a lifelong contract. Jeez. Glad I didn't get one of those, buddies. Addressing the above certification, notice the terms grant, permissions, consider. Grant, permission, consider. Consider, offer. Permission, consideration. Grant, contract in place. First, the signer makes a grant to the state, which is, in retrospect, the exact consent which is required. According to the state of Washington Constitution, Art 1, Section 1, by the consent of the governed, by the consent of the governed, by the consent of the governed. Are you governed? Are you governed? Are you governed? Are you governed? Well, of course you do, brother. Of course you do, Inan. Of course you do, brother. And that's because you was not given full disclosure. Let's remember that. Webster's ninth defines grant as 1. Verb, adjective, or A. To consent to carry out for a person. B. To permit as a right, privilege, or favor. Noun. 3. A transfer of property by deed or writing. Webster's ninth. Convey. Steal, to carry away secretly. To transfer or deliver to another. To transfer by sealed writing. Permission. Formal consent, authorization. Webster's ninth defines deed as a signed and sealed instrument containing some legal transfer. Yeah, you literally legally transferred your rights to another. You might as well, when they say sign your soul away, don't go signing your soul away. You just signed your soul away right there by signing away your rights. You legally transferred your rights away to another. Like, why would you do that, my brother? Like, what? Are you kidding me? Bargain or contract. Black Law's Dictionary defines grant as an agreement that creates a right of any description other than the one held by the grantor. Examples include licenses, grant, to formally transfer by deed or other writing. Black Law's Dictionary defined convey as to transfer or deliver to another, especially by deed or writing. Black Law BLD again, permission, a license or liberty to do something, authorization. BLD for deed. At common law, any written instrument that is signed, sealed, and delivered, and that conveys some interest in property. You see how they used written instrument here? That falls in line with my boy Luis. So a driver's license is not in and of itself a per se state business, moreover, because the driver's license is simply an identification of an employee's particular task. However, the spurious, fraudulent act that the state of Washington has committed is to combine the statute definition and purpose, RCW 46.20.040, the operator's business license with the driver's license, whereby the grant to be considered is not simply a request for a driver's license, but that the state has created an operator paradigm business without noticing the applicant of that action in and of itself. That act or deed is the consideration language of the application, where the right of travel was conveyed and converted to the operation of a business privilege granted by the state. IPSO facto, the driver license is a sole proprietor business. The driver's license is a sole proprietor business. Uh-oh. Yo, Kinetic, in the description of this video is the link to the Right to Travel course. This document here is in the Right to Travel course in documents. You'll see it. It's named Right to Travel PDF. To further invoke the notion of constructive fraud, of special note here is that the application for driver operator's license only contains line space for identification of an individual's name. If it was only the operator business license and not the driver's license that one sought to make application for, there is no separate line to identify a business proper. Also noteworthy is the reference to the application for a title. For succinct purposes here, we only need addresses two lines on the application for title. One is the line space asking for a name, and the other asking for an address. The address line reads thus: Washington State Primary Residence Street Address, if an individual, or Washington State Principal of Business Street Address, if a business. The name line only asks for a name without distinguishing an individual from a business, while the business can be at either of two addresses. Interesting, though, saving discussion on the difference of the state of Washington versus Washington State. Interesting, though, saving discussion on the difference of the state of Washington versus the Washington State for all my people out there living in the Republic, okay? For all my people out there who are republics, okay? Shout out to all my nationals and people of the Republic, okay, of Washington. What is relevant here is that the play on words, for example, primary and principal, are each synonymous with the other, and the business is the res, ident, Latin meaning identity. The res, where you reside, ident, the identity of a thing, in this case, is the business. Oh, got him, got him, got him. Meanings. Words have meanings, they say. Words have meanings, they say. There is no separate line to identify an actual business. This coy illusion is unnecessary because all the DOL needs by state authority is an address for the res ident. Each of the two preceding paragraphs should be read consistent with the section on statutory history earlier herein. When an individual assumes application for a driver operator business license is mandatory, the applicant then assumes he must register his automobile. An automobile purchased from a private sale comes with a bill of sale. The bill of sale is a deed of right of possession. When an automobile is registered, the DOL asks for a bill of sale. Two things happen. One, the possessor conveys to the state a partial priority interest of the right of ownership, and second, grants to the state a consideration for the business that was created. The bill of sale that was freely given over the state will be never seen again because the right of the possession has been conveyed and the title was claimed by the state. The applicant has now consented and authorized the state police to stop him for any one or more of the statute violations enumerated in the miscellaneous motor vehicle codes. Produced also from this research were two applications for a license, more appropriately two parts of one application. The first is a general license, and the second a commercial driver's license. The first, general license, simple application having the above described terms. The second, a commercial application, which has the intrinsic information contained in the simple license, but also has a curious attributes. The commercial application asks four qualification questions. Three are highlighted here. Do you drive a vehicle in interstate commerce? Do you meet all the requirements in the Code of Federal Regulations 392.11 and 383.51? Do you have a driver's license from more than one state or licensing jurisdiction? According to question number 1, if a person can drive a vehicle in interstate commerce, which is federally regulated, he is automatically under the state's authoritative mandate to possess only one license. If the state only allows one license, and this one is commercial, then by what authority is there issued a non-commercial license? The answer is none. Every license is commercial. Every license is commercial. Every license is commercial. The second question is vague. It points to the Code of Federal Regulation. What title of the Code of Federal Regulation? To be ironically certain, Title 49 Code of Federal Regulation, Transportation. Well, we know what that good old transportation means, don't we? We know that's a commercial term as well. The third curious attribute to the commercial application is the class certifications list and the signature certification, which reads in relevant part here. The vehicles I drive are representatives for the class marked above. For purposes of this writing, it is the first class which concerns the bulk of the private vehicles that are licensed. The diagram below is shown as it appears on the license application that was provided. The classes of vehicles and drivers, therefore, are as follows. Before we get into this, we're taking a smoke break. Spark up. It's time to spark up. It's time to spark up, man. What? It's time to spark up, man. Let's check the chat, see what y'all got going on, man. It's never full disclosure. You're right, man. It's never full disclosure. That's the biggest issue right there, I think. Let me pause this real quick. And then if I close that, I'm gonna throw on some tunes while we coming out. Okay, let's get back to it. Get this back over here, man. Smoke break. I'll be quick with it. I ain't trying to take up y'all's time. For the purposes of this writing, oh yeah, it is the first class which concerns the bulk of the private vehicles that are licensed. The diagram below is shown as it appears on the license application that was provided. The classes of vehicles and the drivers thereof are as follows. Class, of course, is over here. Endorsements and or restriction test needed. Passenger, double, triple trailer, tank vehicle, hazardous materials, school bus, air brakes restriction. Note that passenger vehicle is the first on the list of classes of vehicles and drivers thereof. Okay, but when it says passenger, what does that mean? That doesn't mean you and I. That means those who are using their car for passengers. We out here selecting something that don't even apply to us. Right there is it all. It's all right there in the very beginning. Passenger. We didn't even understand what passenger meant in the beginning of this whole thing. We're out here clicking, yep, I need a passenger license. Why? Are you carrying passengers? Are you an Uber driver? Are you a taxi cab now? What you talking about? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's right here in front of our faces. Now we understand the aspects of what is going on because we understand the definitions. Passenger is all in relation to carrying passengers. Business on the roads. I travel with guests, not passengers. Exactly, Hourglass. Perfectly said. Note that passenger vehicle is first on the list of classes of vehicles and drivers thereof. What is interesting about this is that A, this class appears on the commercial application, not the general application. B, the passenger classification does not have a demarcation line. C, the applicant swears the vehicle is a representative of the class marked above. So if you're checking off passenger, that's the only thing that they can regulate and ask that you get a driver's license for, which again is a business. So why do you think it doesn't say personal driver's license on there? Because they can't. Your right to travel is free. They can only allow you to get a pass something that is commercial because they can only deal in commercial. Do you now understand? Your only choice is passenger. You can't go for your car out there. You tell me something else that you can pick. You tell me what else you can pick. All you can pick from what I'm seeing, what we know, is passenger. And you are not out there on the roads using your car to carry passengers for money. Are you? Of the types of vehicles shown, a passenger vehicle by statute RCW 46.25.080 is a Class C commercial vehicle. You see what I'm saying? Right there. A passenger vehicle. So what you're applying for when you go in there to the DMV up here is a Class C commercial vehicle. This means that John Doe has sworn that, for example, a Honda Civic is representative of a Class C vehicle. It is a standing rule of law that silence is acquiescence. Just because you don't know is not their fault. Again, ignorance of the law is no excuse. The passenger class, which again is for what? Commercial. Being absent, the demarcation line is a technical silence as to the application choice. However, this absence does not prevent the Department of Licensing from making some type of sign or mark indicating the passenger class, thereby assuming this to be the correct class. For the type of vehicle registered, it is, for all intents and purposes, a free-for-all default selection. You see what I'm saying? They just throw you in there, and you don't even know. You're like, oh, yeah, I guess that's all I can pick because it can't be a bus and it can't be this and it can't be that, so I got to be passenger. You're not. You're not. And the reason why straight up tricked from the start. Who said that the other day? Who said so? Trap. It's just a trap. It's a trap. It's a trap. And what is it based off of? Ignorance and knowledge. It's all it's based on right there. They don't teach it. So how I feel like is that all these driver training schools out there are fraudulent, bro. I feel like they're fraudulent. All these ones out there teaching kids at 16, 17, 18, taking all that money to teach our kids how to drive, they are fraudulent. I feel like they are fraudulent, bro. Me personally, because they're not teaching them the truth of what they're signing. That's fraud. You're out here teaching the kids to get a driver's license when they don't even need it. That's fraud. You're not even teaching them everything that's entitled of what's truly going on. That's fraud. That could be almost a class action lawsuit, bro, for fraud. Like you could bring in a cease and desist letter. Like I could literally bring up and make a cease and desist letter, bro, and say, hey, I'm putting you on notice for your fraudulent actions that you're teaching kids about them needing a driver's license because you're not teaching them everything that's included on why they don't need a driver's license, thereby committing fraud. I can understand you teaching them how to operate a vehicle effectively, but then to say they need to get a driver's license, that would be fraud, right? So there's a lot of things here. You see what I'm saying? That could be troublesome when you kind of know what's really going on. It is, for all intents and purposes, a free-for-all default selection. So this void is itself representative of an unidentifiable public record which cannot be effectively responded to, as it presumes speculative interpretation of law. Remember, there is only one license authorized by statute, and it is authorized by authority of RCW 46.20, the special license at RCW 46.25, called commercial. I'm not driving commercial. I'm not driving commercial. I'm out here driving private. You can't stop that bit. For real, man. Only authorizes the extension of specific performance or circumstance concerning weights, capacities, and cargoes. Why you think I be telling these people, I ain't got no cargo? You don't see no goods on the back of my car. You see what I'm saying? And every vehicle bearing a license plate is a business registered to some person. And that's the bottom. That's it. We finished it on episode 13. Let's go, man. We finished it, bro. What you talking about, man? So, yeah, that's how it goes, man. That's the most sacred liberties. This is the advanced course. This is the course on really understanding your rights, really understanding who you are, really understanding, or should I say, comprehending and overstanding, getting a good comprehension and understanding of what the law is. There's a lot of case law in here that we've gone through. This is very extensive and advanced on its comprehension because we go into depths in which most do not. I think that's why and what makes the abatement so great as far as the template is concerned in the right to travel course is because when we file an abatement, it's a notice and demand. Like, we're giving you notice right now that we're not submitting to your jurisdiction whatsoever. And I'm also demanding that you go ahead and take care of this right now by dismissing it all, because we're not going to play these games with y'all. Okay. And that is my power horse. And that is what has worked for me in these courts. And somebody said, well, you can't just do motions, that's you're requesting, you're asking for permission. It's like, bro, my hard hitter is my notice and demand for abatement, and then I also hit hard with a memorandum in support with that, you dig? So but I do teach, I do like to use motions to get things spoken on, right? Like, I know that my abatement's always there in the background, so if I can file something up front to see how they're gonna play, I want to see, what they're going to rebut if I'm bringing up Chevron and jurisdictions on different aspects. I like to get different responses. Just like, when I need a question directly from the Department of State, I'm going to write them a letter and they're going to write me back, bro. Like, they really are good about that. And I feel like when people start understanding that you can reach out to your Secretary of State, your Attorney Generals, they really good about getting back to you if you're really good about, I don't know. With me, I'm a charmer, so I charm people. When I'm calling in to people, I'm literally charming them to death, bro. I'm like, no, I appreciate you. You've been so nice. And, I'm really trying to at least brighten up that person's day, because you don't know how they went. They could have had someone shitty, they just got off the phone with a shitty person, pissed off, right? So, of course, every interaction with me, I want to try and empower a person and make their day better. But then also, just by doing such, you're going to get a better response out of people, hopefully, if they're not just evil. So let me see. Joe Moore, an unrebutted affidavit stands at truth. And that's why, at the end of this, the author, which is unnamed, that's why he hit home with putting them on notice. Notice is a big deal. You got to notify the state. And that's why I've shown, a few examples now in relation to the aspect of the notice of liability, because it puts them in the aspect of, you having the conversation up front, you putting them on notice. It also allows you to give a good aspect of utilizing the administrative process to move forward as far as filing a notice, filing a breach of contract, and then filing that last, invoice. Like, hey, you haven't been answering, so you now have an invoice because you haven't responded whatsoever. And we definitely have a contract in place. So there was an offer consideration, and then there was an acceptance on y'all's end, and thereby you're in violation of said contract that was established. And even if people want to say it don't work at all, hey, that's a good uh, you know, it's a good record that you've built to be able to bring to the civil courts as submission. If they want to say they're just frivolous filings, let them say that. What you've done is you've established the aspect that you've reached out to try and establish some kind of alternative dispute resolution to get this solved on the back end, because you're just wanting resolution for these actions that have taken place. They ignore it, man. It's all about the record. You're exactly right. You got to build the record of showing that you are actively reaching out and trying to get the wrongs corrected that happened. And if you have someone that's just, ignoring the wrongs that happened to you and not saying anything, well, that looks bad on them, doesn't it? You can't tell me it looks good on them. It looks horrible. It looks really bad on the police department when you have the highest of authority, the public, we the people, requesting information and you're not willing to give it. You're not even willing to give a response. Instead, you're going to ignore it because you know that you can't give a response that is going to work, because you're not allowed to call someone's place of employment when they haven't committed a crime, right? That's harassment. That's retaliation. Like, If I come to your job, right, and we had a short little argument, but you was the wrong, and you was working at the job, and you saw that I had my work shirt on, and you called up my place of employment to make a complaint on me because you was wrong at your work, that's harassment. That's retaliation when I didn't do anything wrong. Like, you can't go calling my job, especially as a police officer. Like, that's way out of line. There was no crime that was committed. So in his line of business, in his line of policy and procedure, he can't go out of that. He has a code and ethics in which he has to abide by. And if they go outside of that policy, those codes of ethics, then state law can be applied. But I'm not going after the. Oh, I could go after the state for the Ridgefield. I actually could. So I can go after state and federal. And I might go after state because the stipulations are a lot. Like, I got more statutes that are defined that can be applicable to them because their actions were unlawful and they were a public nuisance, like, or private nuisance, like we just spoke of this morning, which is an unlawful act, which then just falls back in line to a tort. You see what I'm saying? Because you've then bothered my happiness. And I think we're not really understanding that aspect, that just by bothering our happiness, our pursuit of happiness, excuse me, our liberty, then that is a tort violation. It really does boil down to that simple. And we've let these things, as far as the small violations, go against us for so long that we've just let them get away. Like, they've just gotten away with it, and it's okay. And so they think it's, by thinking it's okay, we've ourselves have trained ourselves to think that it's okay when it's not okay. And then thereby not pulling ourselves together to learn enough to be able to file torts or to be able to file pro se's. It's like, I was just watching Carolina the other day. What's up, Les TV? It's nice to see you in here, bro. I was just watching Carolina's situation the other day down in Fort Worth. And, like, she's talking about she needs $20,000 to pay for a lawyer. And I'm just like, girl, you could have pursued that on your own. And if you would have probably pursued it on your own, on some pro se with some help, you probably would have won. You probably got to really get down to the nitty gritty that the lawyer didn't want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I be really feeling, because there'll be a lot. You will always be the best defendant of your case. You will always be the best defendant of your case. There will never be a lawyer that will be better to defend your own case than yourself. If you agree with me, put agree. If you don't, put disagree. Because I really want to see y'all's opinion on this. I'm gonna ask it again. You are your own best attorney. Agree or disagree? I feel like there cannot be an attorney out there that can represent yourself better than you, because you know all the facts of the case. You're going to be the one that researches it and brings up every little fine detail. You're going to be the one that branches off questions and depositions and within trials, right? You're going to know that every little action of that wink, right? That wink to his partner, or that snicker, or that intimidation, or that flinch, or that elbow as they had your hands behind your back. You know all of these inflections and things. You are going to be the one to best defend your case. Because you know when they answer, whether it's a cross-examination, whether they answer with an motion of dismissal, you'll already be prepared. Like, that's what's the beauty about being pro se, is that, like, you already prepare yourself. Like, you get so prepared. It's like my boy Luis. We be studying, and everybody, we be in the Wise Dome group, and we all be studying, and it's like Luis is 4 or 5 steps ahead of the game. His chess moves he's already got the state in checkmate. Already. The state is, like, literally in checkmate right now. He literally just filed not only his motion to dismiss, but a memorandum in support of that motion to dismiss, because they found probable cause, of course. But now he's also filed the transcript from Fellner making threats. You know, it's like he's got so much on their ass right now, they don't even know what to do. Like, homeboy's not even responding properly or to all the aspects of what Luis is even bringing up. Luis has got depositions ready to go. Well, I mean, not depositions, but cross-examination. They're going to get caught up in their lies. And that's the beauty of being pro se. Like, everything can move along swiftly, quickly. He's got them on because they got to prove without a reasonable doubt that homeboy, they just can't meet it. They can't meet so many things that he just put forth. And I'm so excited to see Luis on December the 30th. I think is his next hearing. He's having a hearing that he brought forth in relation to the proposed order of dismissal that he submitted for the judge to sign off on for the 30th itself. And I think it's pro se is a beautiful thing, y'all. You really got to understand how much power you have as a pro se litigant, uh, in your own capacity, as an attorney in fact, rather than an attorney at law. You do. You got so much power, and it's not that hard. You shouldn't be out here having to pay $20,000 to beat. Like Carolina shouldn't be having $20,000 for her case, bro. Do you know how she could have done so much better herself? I can tell just by the videos that she making and how much research she do, just putting in time she put into the videos that she making to get attention. That right there shows me that this girl would have been amazing defending herself if she would have went in pro se. I mean, my God, bro. My God, $20,000 for attorney fees, bro. Oh my God, come on, bro. You kidding me? So I'm hoping y'all really enjoyed the aspect of this most sacred liberties. This was episode 13. It's crazy it ended on 13 like that. 13 is always, I say, magical number, you know, with the G and the spiral and the 9, and the Fibonacci, right? The golden ratio, you know. I don't see how anybody on their own federal claim could literally spend that much money for their case. There's no way, man. That's insane, dude. If someone has literally spent that much money to bring upon their own federal case, that is insane, bro. That is insane, bro. You literally at your own fingertips right now have a law firm, bro. Literally, bro. It is not hard to sit here and listen. They got the what y'all ever. It's like I got a guy right now. I got a youngster. He's like trying to learn everything on his own, and he's listening to the federal rules of civil procedure. You know, they've got audio books now or readers where they just read directly through the federal rules of civil procedure. And if you listen to those federal rules of civil procedure for quite, like 2 or 3 times, you're going to start to really retain the whole process of everything. You're going to start to understand the whole legalese language. You're going to start to understand, oh, that goes, oh, I won't forget that. You know what I'm saying? And what's cool is that you can pull all these documents right over in, okay, right over in to ChatGPT, okay? Especially with the pro version, we got that for free for everybody. So if anybody wants to reach out to me directly in email, we utilize the ChatGPT to help you in any regard, okay? And just pulling in the federal rules of civil procedure, though, into ChatGPT allows anyone to say, hey, make me a bullet point list of this. I'm not understanding this process very well. Help me understand it. And we just build. We build. And we say, give me the advanced aspect of it. I need to understand it deeper. And we build and build and build. And so that's us being able to enforce it. So by enforcing it, we're good to go. You dig what I'm saying? And with this whole right to travel, I understand people may be in fear of what the cops might do. But, freedom is scary. Like my boy Brian says, deal with it. Freedom is scary. Deal with it, man. Civil rights attorney. Y'all watch what my boys be. Freedom is scary. Deal with it. Okay. And, I'm not going to allow myself to be. I mean, I understand it can be scary, but I can't bow down to nobody anymore. And I have to do that for my children. I have to do that for myself. I have to do that for my creator. It's not a pride thing. It's not an ego thing. If I wanted to go out there and pay for it, y'all can see that I'm more than eligible to pay for a driver's license and registration. Am I right or wrong? I think y'all can all agree here that Cameron is not in a situation that is unable to pay for a driver's license, registration, or plates. Am I correct? Right? It's not like I can't pay for that. Right? That's not what's going on here. What's going on here is the aspect of the principle that someone is trying to tell me and every single one of you that we have to do something against our own free will when we are free from the very beginning. Like, that's the biggest thing. You literally telling me by this driver's license, you telling me that my faith and my belief, my understanding, my way of life is irrelevant. Like, my belief in knowing that I am a creation of the creator is irrelevant, and I must submit or bow to you as though you have dominance and power over me. Like, that's what's happening, right? That's what that means. If you telling me that I am forced to not be able to travel freely across the roads, you're telling me that I'm a slave and below you, as though I am a servant of something, right or wrong. If are you a servant? Yes or no? Y'all tell me in the chat. Are you a servant? Are you a servant? Are you a slave? Yes or no in the chat. Are you a slave? Let's pull up a situation. I actually got a situation that I can pull up live, and we'll go over a situation real quick since we're live. Got a guy we'll go over. Maybe y'all can hear it. This one guy sent me something, and I want to go over how he operated out here, and we'll go over his situation. Turn this one down. We'll turn this one up, and then we'll go to share screen, entire screen. Is that this one? Yeah, this one. I'll pull this one over. Okay, y'all ready?
Hello. Good, thank you. My name is Officer Francis. Can please stop because your license is revoked.
License is revoked?
Correct.
Whose license?
Yours. Daniel, correct?
I'm Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's pause it. What's really weird is that this cop pulled over this individual. His name is Daniel. And he literally says the first thing that comes out this officer's mouth is, I pulled you over because your license is expired. What? What do you mean you pulled me over because my license is expired? How the fuck do you know who I am? What do you do? Like, what is going on? That is literally harassment, bro. Someone is following this guy, scoping him out to harass the hell out of him, bro. That's crazy.
Can I see your license, registration, insurance, please?
How did you know it was? How did you identify me driving?
Because I saw you in the driver's seat.
You identified me by my looks?
Correct.
You knew who I was?
Correct. Your Secretary of State photograph.
My secretary.
Secretary of State photograph now. How is that possible? What? I identified you by you just driving around. I saw you. I saw you in the window, buddy. You're not getting away. I seen you. We've been looking for you. We're coming. These. Oh my God.
Okay. Did you take an oath to uphold the Constitution?
Yep. May I see your license or ID card?
I'm asking. Okay.
He said, yep. Now let me see your ID.
I asked you one question. You said you did take an oath?
What's up, Troy?
Okay.
Can I see your identification card?
Well, you know who I am.
Yep. I still need to see your ID card.
I don't have to. I don't answer questions.
Okay, so he just said, I need to see your ID card. That's kind of crazy because if you just did say that you know who he was, why would you need to see his ID card? Does this have to do with something in relation to consent? Again, they need the card for a reason. Why? Let's keep going.
You have to show me your ID card.
I do not.
Called in for backup.
You know who I am.
Yep, and you still need to provide me identification.
First off, he don't got to provide no identification. All he's supposed to have to provide is verbally is his name. But the dude don't have to provide his name if the dude pulled him over because he said he already knew him. Like, what's going on? This is really weird, y'all. This is some harassment type shit right here, Brain.
Upon my request, okay?
I am a non-resident, non-citizen.
All right, that's not how this works, man.
No, I'm telling you right now. You think you know who I am? You profiled me while I was driving.
Yep. And
so did I commit a crime?
Yes.
Did I hurt somebody?
Driving with revoked license is a crime.
Driving with revoked license.
Dude don't even know what a crime is. They keep saying, yes, driving with a revoked license is a crime. How is it a crime? Why can't we get past the aspect of clearly understanding that a crime involves a person, harm to another? It is not a crime to not have a driver's license. I don't get it, y'all. That right there in of itself is a lie. We need to start enforcing the aspect that they be lying. They know that, bro.
So, do you know what probable cause is?
Yep. Miss, what's your name?
No, do not.
Do you have a valid license? Okay, so I have to tow the car then. Is that if neither of you have a valid license, Listen, man.
You don't have probable cause to pull me over.
I do. If I identify you, I can. If I identify you as.
Do I have a warrant out for my arrest?
I don't believe so.
So do I have probable cause to pull me over? I want you to know I have been recording everything.
So am I.
I understand. But did you have probable cause to pull me over?
Yes.
Okay.
If I
Do you know what
identify you and I know you're driving with a revoked license.
All right. Let's ask the question. He asked the question, do you have probable cause? What is required for them to even pull him over as far as probable cause is concerned? What do they have to be involved with? What do they have to be involved with? Can somebody tell me, please? Can someone tell me what they have to be involved with? They have to be involved with something. What do they have to be involved with? A crime. There has to be some sort of crime. Well, no, a crime, even for probable cause. Probable cause, you have to have some sort of crime, y'all. There has to be a crime in the commission, they're about to commit, or look, like they're about to commit or has been committed. It's either has been, is committing, or about to commit a crime. Okay? It's like that. Probable cause is very serious, man, and should always be one of the first things being brought up in relation to any claim that's being brought against you. Probable cause has to be proven, bro. Like, they got to get past what? I'm supposed to be, I'm able to be private at any time unless you suspect me of a crime, not a violation. That's why they be lying to people and be saying straight up, oh no, driving without a driver's license is a crime. You are right now bold-faced trying to lie to me as though I am unintelligent or ignorant of the aspect of the law and my rights. You are not going to violate my liberties today. You're not going to violate my fundamental rights, bro. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I'm reserving all rights. That's it. We done.
That's a crime in progress.
Officer, that is entrapment. You have to have probable cause to pull me over.
Are you going to provide me your identification?
Do you know what the Geneva Conventions Act of 1949 is? Do you know what the treaty is?
No, but
you do not. Do you know what you have to acknowledge? Do you know that?
All right, step out for me, please.
Am I being arrested?
Step out for me, please. No, I'm not stepping out of my vehicle. Exactly what I'm saying. Do not ask me to step out of my vehicle again. I'm going to roll up my window a little bit because now you ask me to step out as though I need to step out of my private property. I'm not doing it. I'm not stepping out.
Am I being detained?
You're detained right now. If you provide me with identification, then you're going to be arrested for.
Why do I have to provide what UCC code do I have to provide identification for?
All right, step out right now, please.
Step out right now, please.
Daniel,
what crime did I commit?
Driving with revoked license. Let's go.
That's
driving with revoked license. Is he driving? No. If he's to say right now and not jump out, I am not driving, and you know this. You don't see any passengers. You know what? I'm going to stick into the Eddie Craig script. I'm going back to it. Let me get back to it. I should have kept my windows up. Damn it, I fucked up. I would have said, you know what? Excuse me for 1 second. Excuse me 1 second. I would have grabbed the Eddie Craig script and started all over, bro. I would have started all over right then and there, man. If you mess up, restart. It's okay. Bring it back. Start standing on your right. Start at square one. You mess up, I got to do it right. Start on square one. You know what? First off, I need to find out what's the emergency. What's your name and badge number? Are you making a recording of this event today, sir? Or do you know to your best of your abilities that the camera and everything that is functioning properly, including your audio equipment? Yes, sir. And you're sure that audio equipment is working and functioning properly to your best of your knowledge? Yes, sir. You see what I'm saying? Get it on the record.
No, you didn't pull. You have to have probable cause to pull me over.
I'm not going to argue with you. You're going to step out of the vehicle.
And I can give you. My license isn't even revoked. It's canceled.
It's going back as revoked.
No, you just ran it?
Now you're giving validity to the aspect that it matters that if the driver's license is valid or not. Why are you arguing that? That is irrelevant. If you are traveling and not using that driver aspect of passengers and or commerce in any regard, there's no need to answer any of these questions or have this conversation because it's non-applicable whatsoever.
Yep.
You knew my name. You knew how to spell my name.
I have it up on
I am not the legal entity of Daniel Ryan Magoo.
All right. How much have you drank tonight as well, by the way?
Oh, now you're assuming that I drank.
I can smell alcohol on you.
Okay, so just for one can smell alcohol does not in and of itself mean that one is driving under the influence. This has been clearly shown here recently. I just watched a video today where a lawyer ate up a dude in relation to a guy having a couple of beers and then in his car traveling. And this lawyer ripped this dude up left and right, bro. And it's only like if we could watch these enough to understand we can be the same type of person in the courtroom with that much power and more, because we're coming in there with our own power, our own self. We're standing within ourselves, presenting what we know to be the facts and how they wronged us in relation to us being the highest of authority.
You didn't have probable cause to pull me over.
I do have probable cause, and we can work it out in court if you want. But right now, you have to step out of the vehicle, please.
Your officer, I'm asking you
Listen,
right.
man,
No.
I don't.
You have no probable cause to pull me over.
I do.
What do? No, you do not. I didn't do a crime. Did not do a crime. But did I hurt anybody? Did I offend anybody? That is not a crime. That is not a crime. Tell me who I offended.
It's illegal to drive with a revoked license.
Who did I hurt? Who did I offend? Who is the complaining? Who is complaining? Are you the complainant? Are you the complainer?
I observed you committing.
You observed me hurting somebody? Did I destroy somebody's property?
Are you gonna step out of the car, or do I have to take you out?
You're gonna take me out. No, I'm hold on. I'm thinking about my options here.
Turn off the car. Step out of the vehicle.
I want to let you know that I
doing what he said.
All of my rights.
All right.
Every last one of my rights. I want to let you know.
Listen, man.
I'm getting out. I'm getting out. But I reserve all of my rights.
He obeying. He obeying.
I remain silent.
Okay.
And I have full authority to record this.
Yep, that's totally fine.
We're also recording.
I understand. I just want to let you guys know I am recording because my.
No, it's perfectly fine.
Did you take an oath to uphold the Constitution?
Absolutely.
I did too. I did too.
Driving stuff for me, okay? So
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, where's your ID?
Go ahead, he told him. Go ahead.
Tell me why I have to give you my ID.
Because when you're being detained on traffic stop per Michigan law, you have
Why
to
was
provide
I
your
pulled over?
identification. Because you're driving with a revoked license.
You don't even have my ID.
I have your Secretary of State.
The Secretary of State
To-
on the plate.
On the plate,
So if you're the registered owner of the vehicle,
I'm not
your
this
license-
registered owner.
Okay, so that's why he needs your ID.
No, he does not.
So here's the deal. You were
He pulled
ticketed,
me over for what?
Daniel.
Do you know why he pulled me over?
Daniel.
He pulled you over. He's telling me it's because you have a
Daniel.
revoked driver's license.
But how did he get my
I'm
revoked
right here.
driver's
I can-
license?
Because you ran the plate, which is constitutionally lawful for every police officer.
To run a plate, he doesn't get my
Absolutely.
information if he runs a plate on me. That's her car.
You were ticketed in the vehicle.
Gotcha.
I was never ticketed in this vehicle.
Yes, you were. And your driver's license is associated with that ticket. So I identified you via your phone.
My driver's license.
This dude, my boy Daniel, got a ticket in this car. And so they harassing Daniel at this point because he's already got a ticket in this car. And then they run the car again and they see that Daniel had a ticket in this car. And they're like, oh, that must be Daniel in the front seat. He's showing back his revoked. Let's pull him over, even though he didn't do nothing. So in itself, it's like, was the pullover justified if they didn't really know it was Daniel, but assumed it was him by presumption? Was the stop justified in the first place if there was actually no traffic violation, right? Because they didn't really, how could they really know it was Daniel? There could be enough gray area there to kind of justify and say, well, did they really know? And is this stop really a constitutional stop? I mean, there's no crime that's been committed, and just the aspect that they ran the plate not knowing for sure with 100% certainty, because they couldn't know with 100% certainty that Daniel was actually the one operating, or should I say conducting himself in this private conveyance. It just seems to me to be a little fishy. I don't know about this one. I don't think this one seems to be a little bit fishy here, y'all.
Canceled my driver's license on 12 December 2016.
Okay.
My driver's
Do you have an
license is-
out-of-state driver's license?
I have an international driver's permit.
May I see it, please?
You're required to identify
I do not
yourself.
have it. I do not have it on me. Everything I had was just lost in the fire. No, I I had a whole RV just burnt down.
Okay. Do you have any form of identification whatsoever?
Why do you need my identification if you just told me you know who I am? When I was driving in the darkness.
I'm driving.
You say it.
Admitting to the driving.
Huh?
I'm still able to see that.
You just, okay, so you
Hold
profiled
up
me
next to you.
driving in her car, and you need my ID, but you already know who I am. That's why you pulled me over in the first place. Is that what I'm understanding? So are you the officer in charge?
No, he's the officer in charge. He's the one who pulled you over.
Okay,
He's
who's
the one
calling
you're
the shots around here? Because
He
this is inappropriate.
So,
This
you
is
have-
violating
do you
all
have-
constitutional
do you-
rights.
You have an ID
This
on
is
your
all
record
my
right now?
constitutional rights are violated. You profiled me. This is ironic.
I asked
You
a question. Do you
profiled
have
me
a
to
driver's
pull me
license
over
with you?
because you know who I am, but now you need me to present
have-
my identification
Yes.
of
Do
who
you
I
have-
am, but that's why you pulled me over. Did you
my
have probable
identification?
cause to pull me over?
I've already been through this, okay?
So you did because you know who I am. Do you understand this? Can you break it down to me?
If you're
I understand. He pulled me
If
over
you're
because he
driving a car
understood
without
that
a
I
driver's
was
license
driving,
person,
but
that's
now
an
he's asking
additional-
me to provide ID.
that's an additional crime. Okay.
What is? What is?
driving in the state of Michigan, driving without a driver's license on your person is a crime as well.
Not
He's
if I,
asking
I'm
you-
not.
See how they keep calling it a crime? There is no such thing. Why they keep lying?
Citizen, I'm a non-resident, non-citizen.
Doesn't matter. In the
Yes,
state
it
of
does.
Michigan,
Do you
everybody
not
who-
understand what that
Everybody
means?
who is driving in the state of Michigan is
No,
required to have
no,
a valid
I
driver's
do not.
license on their person.
No, I have
Okay.
I have an international driver's permit.
Okay.
I was just in a
That's
fire.
perfect.
Can I see that then?
I don't have it on me. I don't have it on me. I don't
So
have
that's-
to
that's
provide
what I
that.
was asking.
I'm
Listen,
not a
listen,
citizen.
if
I'm
you-
not a resident
If you
here.
just came out and
I don't-
said that right away, then we wouldn't be going through all this.
No, if you wouldn't have pulled me over for no reason, you
Eh,
profiled me. Now you want me to ID myself.
I identified you as a driver driving with a revoked license.
You
That's a
just and then
misdemeanor.
See what he said? He said, I identified you as being the driver while having a revoked license. He didn't do any violations. He just, like, it's crazy, bro. Like, what? I saw you and I noticed it was you, Daniel. And I was like, yep, that's that boy. Let's get him. Like, damn, you really like went that deep. You ran the tag, drove up to the car, looked inside real quick, was able to see at nighttime that was him for sure with all the glaring lights. You like found that all in your system. And you was so dire to pull this guy over. Like, it was so important. Like, what? This is weird, bro. It's kind of weird.
my guy, that doesn't hold water, bro.
All right, well, we can.
I know my rights very well.
Hey, keep
Tell
your
me
hands-
what.
keep your hands on your
Yeah,
gun.
no, I have no
appreciate it.
threat to you guys in any way, shape, or form.
Thank you
I'll
very
take I'll take.
That's it. That's all we got, guys. That's where it ends right there. With the blur. With the blur. With the blur. It's done. It's done. But if he would have just gone through the Eddie Craig script nice and smooth, do you think that all of this would have even happened? You could have asked to get out your car all day, but you don't have to get out. Nobody, again, can tell you what to do if you really haven't committed a crime. They're projecting their misapplication and misinformation as far as them continuously stating over and over and over that driving without a driver's license is a crime. First off, you have to prove the aspect that I was actually driving, which is being on the roads employed, using the roads in a commercial capacity. And if I was him, I would have already known what ordinance or code within the county or the city ordinance states in relation to open as a matter of public right for vehicular travel in relation to the definition of county road. Because I'm telling you, that's one of the biggest terms that nobody's been paying attention to this whole time, and which you need to always have on deck with you. Like, that one is so important. Like, that alone, just knowing what that means for everybody, it will rebut anybody ever trying to come to you and trying to tell you you wrong for what you're talking about. Like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. It's like, bro, right here in our city ordinance and right here in our county ordinance, if you look under the definition of county road, it literally says every byway, road, street, highway, freeway, alleyway, like everything you can think of that a road is. And then it says also it's open as a matter of public right for public vehicular travel. Open as a matter of right. It's very explicit. So the ones that are pulling you over are the city and the counties, right? It's not like this is some big state agency. I mean, I'm sure you got Washington State Patrol, but they mainly pull over commercial. They kind of know better, okay? Their main thing is commercial. But then you got the people, in the cities. That's where you need to be looking. because you can be like, wait, police officer of Portland or whatever city you're in, Portland, you can literally say, dude, you don't even know your ordinance here within the city. It says right here that county roads are open as a matter of public right for public vehicular travel. Like it says right here, open as a matter of right. It doesn't say I need a privilege. It says it's open as a matter of right for public vehicular travel. It doesn't say traffic or transportation. It says travel, which means I'm a traveler because I can be private traveler. I don't need to be registered as a business through the state. It's very clear. The rules of evidence are all in place. You're correct. So I just hope to like really instill this knowledge so that we can really bring forth traffic law reform. You know, I think that's the biggest thing for me is making sure that we stop these deaths. We stop the illegal towing and theft of people's private property for no reason. We getting like people getting their private property towed and taken away from them, and they're getting extorted and blackmailed to pay all these fines and fees. And then they're asked to sit here and say, well, get your paperwork in order after paying all these fines and fees and us jailing you for not having the status up to date. It's like, it's like, dang, bro. It's like, what? For what? What is the deal? And again, that can only be done if it's a business license. You got to understand it's a contract. That's how they're able to do this in the first place, as far as enforcing all these fees and fines, is because there's a contract between you, the vehicle, and the state. There's a relationship there. That relationship you may have not known about, but guess what? You can also end that relationship too. And if it's an abusive relationship, I would most definitely think you wouldn't want to be in that bad boy no more. I'd be thinking you want to get in there when you're getting slapped around left and right, boy. What? I'm not staying in no abusive relationship. You got me fucked up, nigga. I'm not finna get slapped all the time. Huh? What? No, bro. Y'all got me messed up. See, Kinetic says he lost over 400K through civil asset forfeiture. I've been fighting that like crazy. I've been figuring out how to fight that like crazy. But I've also heard that that's getting a lot of scrutiny as well, right? It's theft, it's blackmailing, it's extortion, and it's not right. We need to stop that from right off the bat. And yeah, I've heard some people going the trust way to be able to protect stuff. Yeah, it's a big business, but again, we got to stop that big business aspect and start looking at bringing our communities to start doing better for the community itself. I think that needs to be the focus. The focus needs to be on delivering the best service possible to the public. Stop taking people's private property and having it sit in tow forever to where people got to pay exorbitant prices, and if they can't get it immediately because they don't have the funds, what I'm saying? We have to stop all that. That's theft. That's harm to our communities. For what? Oh man, your registration's out. We got to tow it. Oh no, you can't afford insurance right now. We got to tow your vehicle, buddy. If I can't afford insurance right now, what makes you think I'm going to be able to afford to get my car out right now, you bum? Like, what are you doing right now? Like, why would you do that? I need to get back and forth to work, bro. Why are you going to take my car? Because my thing ain't up to date. It's not perfect. I ain't getting in no wreck. What? What? How you going to punch me before I even commit a crime? What? This ain't Minority Report? What I look like? Tom Cruise? Back. What? I'm not finna play with these people, bro. My liberties are not finna be waived. I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna put my hands on the steering wheel and say, I'm sorry, sir. Here's my information. What? No. I'm not doing it. I'm gonna stand up for my liberties. Well, you know what we go into next? Next, I guess what we're gonna have to go into is the whole UCC aspect of filing the notice of liability, then going into the enforcement of the contract, sending out the administrative process since we went through the whole right to travel. And then what is that going to lead us into? I guess that's going to lead us into civil litigation next. And what we need to do to file complaints, getting into some federal rules of civil procedure, maybe look at some appeals, right? If we look at some appeals, we might be, banging. Look at some appeals. Maybe look at some cases in relation to how these lawyers be in there talking, you know what I'm saying, on some good ones, because we don't want to be listening to no bad ones. And really just getting into the nitty gritty as far as what we're going to have to do after someone violates our rights. because it might take you to have to be like Luis, which is fighting his own stuff right now, which we gonna follow him on the 30th. We're gonna be there with my boy. But that's where we're going to. So this series is this the last episode of this series, y'all. Number 13, we done. Okay. And I hope y'all enjoyed it. We're going into the next aspect, which is UCC administrative process after the notice of liability, after filing or giving notice. Okay. At least how I've been doing it and how I've been applying it. And after that, we going into the civil suit. How do we combat qualified immunity? Just all kinds of good stuff. And we're going to have fun. So this is the end of this series. If y'all can, y'all make sure to go ahead and let me put in the change real quick, yo. Traffic law reform. We're at 557. Come on, we need some more signatures, y'all. What y'all doing, man? We need some more signatures, y'all. Y'all pass this around to y'all's friends. Can y'all ask them to sign it? I'm really trying to get traffic law reform. I think it's really important. I hope this series was informative to y'all. If you went all the way through, congratulations. You are a scholar at this point. You really are. I think you have a really in-depth understanding of how this goes now. It's not just some soft sit, just off the wall. Yeah, you got the right. It's like, dude, it's deep, very detailed. With this document, you should be able to write a very good thesis of your own. You should be able to look at the right to travel course documents as far as my abatement and then my memorandum of abatement and utilize these documents to formulate your own. If you ever want any help in any regard to formulate your own, we can use ChatGPT to formulate one that's similar or detailed exactly to you. ChatGPT is amazing now, and it allows us to really do some amazing things and help people because it's helping us. It's just about how you ask it, right? I appreciate every single one of y'all. I just hope y'all remember that I am you and we are us. And that is all a part of the great I am, this whole universe and existence of reality. And that is all a part of the great I am. And I hope that every day you instill something better in the next person because we, the people, need each other. Okay. Without us, depending on each other, we would never exist. We depend on people all the way across the world, y'all. You need to realize that. We depend on people all across the world. And we are all one people. And we need to start acting like it and standing up for everybody, no matter where they may be. Short, tall, poor, rich, it doesn't matter. We need to quit looking at each other as different and start opening up our arms to each other and start treating each other with the utmost respect, dignity, and honor because we all deserve it. Every single one of us got the spark of God within us, and we got to start honoring our people and being that shining light and stealing that gratitude and thanks again. And that's how we change the nation. We're going to do it with this traffic law reform. Don't worry. That's coming. I've already seen it. We see it coming now. We're going to get to 1,000 signatures on this thing. We're going to keep it going. And as we keep building, y'all going to file more notice of liabilities. You're going to be sending them over to me, your recordings, and it's just going to grow. And as we continue to grow, we're going to work together with our community, our law enforcement agencies, and our leaders of, should I say, the servant aspect of it, right? And if we have to, if things ain't going right, then we're going to have to expose corruption. And we're going to have to maybe put ourselves in the aspect of being the leader there, at least in a public servant capacity, right? Because we can be the leaders of change within our public servant capacity. But we got to look towards the people to ask, what do the people want? And if we speak boldly, loudly enough, and if we get enough people behind us, we got a big mission to change each one of these states. But hey, man, it's already begun with Nevada and several others. All it takes is that spark to initiate a movement, and it's already moving. We just got to get to 1,000 signatures. So again, if y'all want to get this one here, that's the traffic law reform. That's the petition we're sending out to everybody. Peace and blessings. I love y'all. Y'all be good. I'll see y'all on the next one. Okay, we moving on to the next series next. Y'all get ready. It's gonna be fun. All right, bye. Love you.